Wadr, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Abuja. Good afternoon, and thank you for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko meets the legislature for a general policy statement presentation.
Notre gouvernement a opté pour 7 ruptures majeures.
Our government has chosen these measures. The first measure is a return to ambition. We can develop ourselves and we will do it by ourselves. We must have a peaceful but an unwavering confidence. The second is a transition from an urgent logic and short-term sweeping to a long-term vision and logical planning.
The Guinean government launches an investigation for missing tons of gold en route to Dubai from the country. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff defends an airstrike in the northwest region that killed several people on Wednesday. And in Ghana, the parliament begins registration for newly elected MPs of the 9th Assembly. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Happy holidays and many thanks for joining our broadcast. We begin here in Senegal as Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko today presented his general policy statement before the National Assembly. Accompanied by cabinet members, Sonko's statement mentioned actions already taken by his government in months past to adjust national issues such as the economy. The head of government went on to notify the legislature of priority areas endorsed by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye in alignment with the Senegal 2050 policy roadmap. Additionally, the Senegalese Prime Minister detailed 7 key measures, including addressing the high cost of living as one of the government's top priorities.
Notre gouvernement a opté pour 7 ruptures majeures.
Our government has chosen these measures. The first measure is a return to ambition. We can develop ourselves and we will do it by ourselves. We must have a peaceful but an unwavering confidence. The second is a transition from an urgent logic and short-term sweeping to a long-term vision and logical planning. The third is a transition from a spending logic to a result-oriented logic. The feeling that is widely spread today is that the impact of an activity is measured in the amount of money spent. There are always floods, yet we have spent billions. Our government will work to redirect our administration towards a culture of results. Our priority will no longer be how many billions have been spent, but the relative impact of each fund spent. We will build a Senegalese state capable of doing less, but doing better. We will begin to set up a new public investment selection identification system, avoiding the private sector's investment operations. In this perspective, the public-private partnership policy will be reviewed to correct the imperfections and imbalances observed over the last decade.
Pour corriger les déséquilibres et imperfections constatés au cours de la dernière décennie.
The Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko speaking there. The government of the Gambia says the recent Afrobarometer survey, which among other things indicates that 3/4 or 77% of Gambians say the country is heading in the wrong direction, are subjective opinions or experiences. The authorities added that the survey does not state comprehensive facts or an assessment of the impact of ongoing government initiatives. From Banjul, Sankle Janko reports.
The increase in cost of living, crime and security are the 3 top most important problems Gambians want the government to address, the latest Afrobarometer survey has revealed. The survey also showed that more than 3/4, 77% of Gambians say the country is heading in the wrong direction. Revealing further bad news for the government, the survey showed that a majority of Gambians also disapprove of the performance of the president, members of parliament, and local government councillors in executing their duties over the past 12 months. Reacting to this through an official statement, the government, while recognizing the values of perception surveys, said these types of surveys represent subjective opinions and or experiences rather than comprehensive facts or an assessment of the impact of ongoing governmental initiatives. It argues that this survey may not reflect actual outcomes or facts, adding that methodologically they could lack empirical rigor, with potential biases in the framing of questions, leading to skewed responses and the eventual interpretation of the data. The government further stated that existing evidence, supported by data from its donor partners and results from the NDP delivery evaluations, points to significant progress in every area of Gambia's public policy. It stated that the country has seen progress in infrastructural development, economic performance, education and healthcare delivery, electricity expansion, water supply to social interventions. Despite these progresses the government claimed to have made, however, the majority of Gambians, as per the survey, conclude that things are not going well for the country. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankule Janko reporting from Banjul.
Away from the Gambia to Chad, the French army has begun its military disengagement process from the country. The army has officially handed over its first military base to the Chadian army. This operation marks the start of the withdrawal of French troops as requested by N'Djamena at the beginning of November. More details with Christopher Ticho.
The announcement was made on Thursday by the Chadian army. In a statement, Chadian military authorities indicated that 3 French military aircraft departed the country on Tuesday. The same statement specified that the French military base in Faya, a town located 760 kilometers southwest of N'Djamena, has been handed over to the Chadian army. About 30 French soldiers left the area for the Chadian capital by land. Reacting to this announcement, the French military headquarters added that the handover is in line with the schedule established with Chad and follows a normal course of the plan. Last Friday, a first unit of 120 French soldiers had already left N'Djamena for France, 10 days after the departure of the fighter jet. The Chadian military command also stated in its communique that future military disengagement will concern the bases in Abéché and in N'Djamena. The French army had nearly 1,000 personnel across 3 bases in Chad, with the majority at Camp Kosé in N'Djamena, while France had planned to reduce the number as part of its reconfiguration of its military presence on the African continent. Chad ended its military agreement with Paris at the end of November. According to Chadian President Mahatma Idriss Déby Itno, these agreements in place since 1960 have become, and I quote, obsolete in light of the country's political and geostrategic realities.
Christopher Aticho reporting. And the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel says there is an urgent need for a concerted effort with national and regional partners to address the different challenges the region faces. Violent extremism, political instability, rights abuses, and climate change are priority concerns for the global organization, according to its special representative, Leonardo Santos Simao. Simao addressed the media after he briefed the UN Security Council, as he stated during the ECOWAS 66th Summit of Heads of State and Government in Abuja.
The West Africa and the Sahel region has recently witnessed positive and inspiring political developments through the holding of legislative elections in Senegal and general elections in Ghana. I should also mention the progress made by Cameroon in Nigeria border demarcation through the parties' readiness to resolve the final areas of disagreement as we near the completion of demarcation. However, we need to remain vigilant and mobilized as the sub-region continues to face multiple challenges. Terrorism, violent extremism, and climate change continue to cause huge suffering to millions of people, particularly women and youth. Coordinated efforts must be scaled up in collaboration with affected countries and within regional frameworks and in full respect for humanitarian and human rights standards. There is an urgent need for long-term development investments focusing on use and sustainable management of water for peace and stability. We take note of the decisions of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to withdraw from ECOWAS. We will continue our engagement with the parties to encourage them to pursue diplomatic efforts and maintain dialogue to find a lasting solution to this challenging situation for the interests of the parties and the sub-region.
UN Special Representative for West Africa and the Sahel, Leonardo Santos Simao.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, we're live on wadr.org and on Facebook, WADR English Service. We remain in the Sahel because nearly 1,200 people will benefit from a pardon by the Burkinabe Transitional President, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, on the occasion of the New Year. This was announced by the Minister of Justice, Rodrigue Bayala, at the end of the Council of Ministers on Thursday. Presenting the details of the breakdown, the minister said by January 1, 2025, at least 400 inmates will benefit from a full remission of sentence, 750 from a partial remission, and 3 sentenced to life imprisonment will have their sentences communicable in prison on time, according to the minister. He stated that these pardons aim to reduce prison overcrowding and to ensure that these beneficiaries can effectively contribute to the development of Burkina Faso. The Guinean government said it has launched an investigation into the disappearance of 4 tons of gold being transported from the country to Dubai. Although the case is being investigated, authorities in Conakry are alleging embezzlement, promising to arrest and prosecute persons involved. Several scenarios have been put forward to explain the disappearance of the gold worth over $400 million. The most plausible theory, however, is the misappropriation of funds orchestrated by senior officials of the Central Bank of the Republic of Guinea, BCRG. The Apex Bank currently has a new boss, but similar accusations have been made previously, particularly targeting his predecessor. The gold in question was being transported by MSS Security, a company specialized in the security and transportation of valuables in West Africa. According to standard procedures, the gold was subject to customs checks both on departure and arrival, and if any wrongdoing occurred, it probably happened once the gold arrived in Dubai. Now, despite this development, MSS Security is not considered a suspect in this case, as the company's director currently overseas has cooperated with investigators, according to sources. Let's take you to Nigeria now, as the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has defended the military's airstrikes targeting the Lakurawa terrorist group in Sokoto State, insisting that there was no mistake in the operation. The airstrikes, which occurred on Wednesday, killed at least 10 people and injured several others in the Silame local government area of the state. WADR's Usman Umar in Abuja completes the story.
General Musa maintained that those killed were criminals, despite the Sokoto state government claiming that the victims were innocent villagers. He emphasized that the military had taken precautions to avoid mistakes, but acknowledged that an investigation would be launched into the matter. The Chief of Defense Staff also appealed to the public not to harbor or support terrorist groups, warning that doing so would make them targets of military operations. He assured that the military would continue its operations against criminal elements while striving to avoid civilian casualties. Recent military operations in Nigeria have resulted in devastating civilian casualties, sparking concerns about the military's tactics and accountability. Airstrikes in Tudumbiri, Mutumji, Doma region, Galadima Kogo and Ran village have killed hundreds, highlighting the need for greater accountability and transparency to prevent civilian casualties and ensure justice for victims. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Well, we stay in Nigeria for one more story before we go on break, which says mining activities are set to resume soon in the northwest state of Zamfara. This announcement was made earlier this week by the federal government. Mining in this part of the country was banned 5 years ago due to incessant attacks by armed gangs popularly known as bandits. Augustine Colley reports.
According to Dele Alake, Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, significant progress has been made in securing Zamfara State, located in northwestern Nigeria. He stated that it will soon be possible to resume the extraction of gold, lithium, and copper. This view is supported by Bello Matawale, Nigeria's Minister of Defense and former governor of Zamfara. In a statement earlier this week, he expressed optimism about the resumption of mining activities in northwestern Nigeria. Bello Matawale praised the joint efforts of the army and police, which have led to intelligence gathering and the elimination of an influential gang leader in the area last September. He added that the announced resumption of mining activities in Zamfara will attract investments and create thousands of jobs. Since 2019, mining in Zamfara state has been halted due to the strong presence of criminal groups in the area. These groups have taken control of significant mineral deposits and contributed to the proliferation of illegal mines. While authorities are optimistic about securing the area, insecurity remains a concern. Earlier this December, an explosive device attack along a road resulted in 2 deaths, causing fear among residents.
Augustine Coley filed that report. You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko meets the legislature for a general policy statement presentation. The Guinean government launches an investigation for missing tons of gold en route to Dubai from the country. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff defends an airstrike in the northwest region that killed several people on Wednesday. And in the news, Ghana's parliament begins registration for newly elected MPs of the 9th Assembly. We also have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Ghana's Supreme Court is set to hear a motion filed by the main opposition party, the National Democratic Congress (NDC), today, challenging the result of certain disputed parliamentary elections. The NDC's lawsuit aims to invoke the court's supervisory jurisdiction to overturn a High Court directive ordering the Electoral Commission to collate and declare the results in 6 constituencies. WADR's Nadiri Tete has more.
Following a High Court decision on December 20, 2024, the opposition National Democratic Congress filed a case at the Supreme Court challenging the results of certain disputed parliamentary elections. The High Court, presided over by Justice Reverend Joseph Owusu Edu Ajiman, had granted a request from 6 NPP parliamentary candidates directing the Electoral Commission to collate and declare results in 6 contested constituencies. Shortly after this ruling, the NDC initiated legal action at the Supreme Court. The NDC argues that the High Court's decision violated their right to a fair hearing and that of the IGP. They also claim the High Court showed bias and failed to ensure proper notification of the mandamus application to all affected parties as required by law. According to the NDC, the High Court's errors resulted in significant miscarriage of justice. The party is asking the Apex Court to overturn the High Court's decision. They seek an order of certiorari to nullify the ruling and an order of prohibition to stop the EC from collating, recounting, or declaring the results in the disputed constituencies. Additionally, they are requesting an order of interlocutory injunction to prevent the EC and the Inspector General of Police, IGP, from facilitating or securing any processes related to the disputed results until the case is resolved. Although the Electoral Commission proceeded to declare the results of 7 out of the 9 constituencies on December 21 after telling journalists that the Commission had no knowledge of the NDC Supreme Court case, it waits to be seen what the outcome of today's court proceedings will be and what bearing it will have on the already declared results. For WADR, Nadiri Tete, Accra.
Meanwhile, Ghana's parliament has commenced the registration of elected members of parliament of the 9th Assembly. In a statement signed by Camilo Pawang, a deputy clerk to the parliament, the registration process will begin online with targeted messages inviting members to register via WhatsApp or email. The statement added that an in-person registration is scheduled for Thursday, January 2 to Monday, January 6, 2025. While touching on the inauguration and dissolution event, the statement said the election of the Speaker and the swearing in of the Speaker-elect and MPs-elect will be held on Monday, January 6, 2025.
Politics,
Analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is a guest.
Our guest is Sheikh Oumar Sy, a former Senegalese parliamentarian who reacted to the general policy statement presentation by Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. Oumar Sy welcomes Sonko's presentation but urges actions that will transform words and promises into practical results. Another focus for him is the expected proposal to be made in the coming days to repeal the amnesty law, which Sonko says is not synonymous with vengeance but with justice.
First of all, we have finally seen the Prime Minister doing his declaration at the Parliament, which is good because it has been long waited for, and I think it came in a way we can say a little bit too late because the vote for the budget, national budget, is on, and they're almost done with the budget in a short term, about 11 days. Now we're expecting to see exactly what will be the next step for the government in 2025. He declared already that the amnesty will be in a coming weeks. They will send a new law so they can look at the amnesty again, which is good. We'll see what's going on there. But as we're looking forward, also we have to talk about the economy, because we're seeing that the economy in Senegal right now is not in a good shape. So we have to look also as far as of the private sector, how the new government will help them get on track, and the creation of jobs as well in a couple of months, because since they've been in power.
Well, do you think that his appearance today will in any way smoothen or perhaps set the tone and the pace for the sort of relationship that will coexist between the legislative and the executive arm of government?
Yeah, but it will set the tone because as we've seen in the past, the member of parliament has all more than 130%, but 130 of parliamentarians are from the party in power. So I think they will try to help the government move forward very quickly with the laws that they will bring in the parliament. And I think with the pace that they want to take, because they only have 5 years, the parliament will try to just follow the government in his policies, and we'll try to see how they can help them also get things on track.
What are some of the lessons that you feel the new assembly should have learned from the previous assembly in making sure that they serve the interests of the people and not just themselves or the politicians in office?
Yeah, the lesson that they need to learn is about the law already. Is a law very equal. Is justice has been really in the core of everything that people are doing, and also that the government is really staying on track with everything that they're voting. And I think in the past we've seen that if the parliamentary are not doing well their jobs, then the executive in the power also can be on the wrong track. So they need to learn from what happened in the previous government with Macky Sall and try to avoid to do it again.
Sheikh Oumar Sy is a former Senegalese parliamentarian. Up next is sports news with Sankule Janko.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Egypt international Mo Salah has inspired Liverpool to a 3-1 win over Leicester City in the English Premier League on Boxing Day. Salah sealed Liverpool's victory in the 82nd minute to add to goals by Cody Gakpo and Curtis Jones. The win has put Liverpool top of the table, 7 points clear of second place Chelsea. In his post-match interview, Salah says he hopes to win the league with Liverpool again.
Yeah, it's a good result. To be fair, they were very tough first half, and the second half, the way they prepared themselves before the game, they were very good, and also the way they standing in front of the box was quite hard for us in the first half, especially. But we managed to score 3 goals. It's a great result. Of course, this one is very special. Hopefully, we win the Premier League for this club is something I'm very, very proud. Dream of. So I really want to win the Premier League this year. Hopefully.
That was Mo Salah speaking after Liverpool's impressive 3-1 win against Leicester City on Boxing Day. Elsewhere, Ghana's Black Galaxies will depart Accra for Uyo on Friday ahead of the decisive African Nations Championship CHAN qualifier against Nigeria scheduled for Saturday, December 28, 2024, according to Ghana Football Association website. The Ghanaian contingent will depart the Kotoko International Airport en route to Uyo, capital of Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria, for the crucial reverse fixture. Coach Masoud Didi Dramani has been trimming the rough edges of his team during the festive period after they played out a pulsating goalless draw in the first leg encounter at the Accra Sports Stadium, setting the tone for a fight to finish at the Goldwills Akpabio Stadium. The two West African nations will renew their rivalry in what promises to be a pulsating game of football. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maojo Juf for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, Instagram at WADR News, on Facebook, WADR English Service, and stream live on WADR.org. Do join Mustafa Jakite at the top of the hour of 1 p.m. for the second edition of our comprehensive news package in French and Foshefu. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County.